Thank you all so much for coming. And I humbly request for your blessings, for your prayers, for your well wishes, so that I can do justice to this service that has been given to me. Thank you all so much. So we are continuing our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, the birth of Emperor Parikshit, and verse is 27. Very glorious chapters. The first two cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam are the lotus feet of the Lord. And it is said that because these lotus feet are like, we stand on our feet, that they are like the foundation of our spiritual life. So if we really know Canto 1 and 2 very well, we have laid a strong foundation for our spiritual life. So our endeavor must be to read, to hear, to understand, and then to share with others Canto 1 and Canto 2. And Srila Prabhupada, not knowing whether he would live to complete all the 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, really packed everything into Canto 1 and Canto 2. So they are very important. And these chapters in Canto 1 and 2 are also very important. So we are on the 12th chapter, which is birth of Emperor Parikshit. The sages are glorifying Parikshit Maharaj, and we are going to see more glorification of Parikshit Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashta Praishva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So the verse goes like this. Takshakadatmano mrityum dvija pasarjitat Prapasyata upashrutya mukta sangha padam harehe. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After hearing about his death, which will be caused by the bite of a snake bird sent by a son of a Brahmana, he will get himself freed from all material attachment and surrender unto the personality of Godhead, taking shelter of him. Purport. Material attachment and taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord go ill together. Material attachment means ignorance of transcendental happiness under the shelter of the Lord. Devotional service to the Lord while existing in the material world is a way to practice one's transcendental relation with the Lord. And when it is matured, one gets completely free from all material attachment and becomes competent to go back home, back to Godhead. Maharaj Parikshit, being especially attached to the Lord from the beginning of his body in the womb of his mother, was continuously under the shelter of the Lord, and the so-called warning of his death within 7 days from the date of the curse by the Brahmana's son was a boon to him to enable him to prepare himself to go back home, back to Godhead. Since he was always protected by the Lord, he could have avoided the effect of such a curse by the grace of the Lord. But he did not take such undue advantage for nothing. Rather, he made the best use of a bad bargain. For 7 days continuously, he heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the right source, and thus he got shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord by that opportunity. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is all being foretold by the sages who have gathered to celebrate the birth of Emperor Parikshit. You see how advanced those great sages were. They could foretell, they could foresee the future. And so they also predicted that he is going to die by the bite of a snake bird sent by a Brahmana. But he will take this opportunity to rid himself of all possible material attachment and completely attach himself to the lotus feet of the Lord, get liberated and go back home, back to Godhead, which is the purpose of the human form of life. In other words, he will be completely successful. Because no matter what we do, at the end of life, if we don't remember Krishna, then, and remember something else, we are going to take birth according to our thoughts at the time of death. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejjante kalevaram. That kind of body we will get depending on our thoughts at the time of death. But if we are practicing thinking of Krishna all the time, then at the end we will remember Krishna and we will go back to Krishna. Ante Narayana Smritihi. That means remembering Krishna, Narayan at the time of death and going back to Krishna, which is the success of the human form of life. So this is what we are aiming for by engaging in the process of bhakti. So Srila Prabhupada begins the purport by saying right away, material attachment, taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, go ill together. That means we can't hold on to our material attachments and try to hold Krishna's lotus feet. We have to give up one. It's like trying to go on two boats, one leg in one boat and one leg in the other boat. It's not possible. At some point, we are going to have to choose to jump out and put both feet in one boat. Now, which boat we want to be in? Do we want to be in the boat of material life or do we want to be in the boat of spiritual life? We'll have to make that choice. So, if we keep choosing our material attachment, it tells us that we still don't understand how glorious is the Lord and how glorious is service at his lotus feet. It means we haven't really understood how wonderful spiritual life can actually be. Because one who has taken complete shelter of the Lord, he is completely free of the material modes of nature. He is no longer tormented by desires, hankering, lamentations, etc. because he's given up everything to serve the Lord. And he's just saying, okay, my Lord, I'm your servant. Whatever you like, you can do with me. You can keep me nicely. You can crush me under your feet. You can make me brokenhearted by not being present. Whatever you do, I am your servant eternally. Ashlishya va padaratam pinastumam adarshnan marmahatam karotu va yatha tatha va vidadatu lampato mat prananatas eva na paraha. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is free to do anything and everything, for he is my most worshipful Lord unconditionally. Who is saying this? Lord Chaitanya, the last verse of Shikshashtakam, the verse of complete surrender, that whatever Krishna wants, he can choose to break me, he can choose to abandon me, he can choose to trample me underfoot. Whatever he does, I remain his faithful servant eternally. This is love, pure love. And even in our 10 offenses to the holy name, what is the 10th offense? To maintain material attachments even after understanding so many good instructions on this matter. It is actually an offense against the holy name to keep holding on to our material attachments. So we must understand, we must realize that we are impeding our own progress. We are putting a big boulder, taking a big boulder and dropping it on our feet. And then crying, oh, I'm in so much pain, I'm stuck over here. But who put that boulder? So we must try to free ourselves of unnecessary material attachments. We don't really need all these attachments. What we need is to get attached.
Sorry, I think we just lost Sridevi Mataji. She's there. We'll just wait for a few seconds for her to join. I guess she will be back soon. Kirtan by the time. Hare Krishna Mataji, welcome back.
I am so very sorry. The internet goes in and out because there are power cuts over here. My
It's okay,
apologies.
Mataji.
But then after a few
Please go.
minutes, it comes back on again. So please know that I will join back.
Yes.
Okay, wherever we, Satyabhama, can you just remind me what I was speaking?
About the material attachments, Mataji, that we will be hankering, like, we'll be here always. We can't go hand in hand with Krishna, attachment with Krishna and attachment to the, the material world.
Yeah, that was the overall theme, but I went into details. I was talking about the 10th offense to
Oh,
the
yes,
Holy
10th
Name.
offense. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so in the 10 offenses to the holy name, which we are encouraged to avoid, by the way, people say, okay, now let's chant 10 offenses. And I always think in my mind, let's chant 10 offenses to avoid when chanting the holy name. So this is what we must remember. And in that, it says, 9th offense, then 10th offense, to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many good instructions on this matter. It's also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. That is the 11th offense. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prem, Prema Pumarto Mahan. Complete, pure love for Krishna is there in the heart of every living entity. It is just covered over. So uncovering that pure love which is there is this process of bhakti, especially chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if we want to perfect our chanting, we must carefully avoid these offenses. One among them is to maintain material attachments. And why do we want to perfect our chanting? Because unless we come to Shuddhanam, how will we go back home, back to Godhead? From Nama Prad, we have to move to Nama Bhas. From Nama Bhas, we have to move to Shuddhanam. So we are practicing. So devotional service to the Lord while existing in the material world is a way to practice one's transcendental relationship with the Lord, which is what? I am your eternal servitor. My dear Lord, I am your eternal servitor. Somehow or the other, I've fallen into this horrible ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of birth and death and place me as one of the atoms of dust at your lotus feet. Shikshashtakam verse number 5. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam vam vishame bhavam budau. Kripaya tava pada pankaja stita duli sadrisham vichintaya. So, first and foremost, understanding very well our relationship with the Lord. Who am I? Eternal servant of Krishna. Who am I? Eternal servant of Krishna. Who am I? Eternal servant of Krishna. That is my only identity. If someone shakes you awake at night and says, who are you? What's your answer? I'm eternal servant of Krishna. This is who we really are. So, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Sambandha is understanding our relationship with the Lord, which is eternal servitorship. The Lord is the master. We are nothing but servants. And then acting in that capacity, that means carrying out the activities of devotion, engaging in the process of bhakti, and one becomes completely mature, becomes completely free of all material attachment, and becomes fit, becomes qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. There is a particular verse, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. What is the first line? It's 1855 in Bhagavad Gita. Let me just try to see if I can. Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. I forget the rest. Tato Mam Tatvato Jnatva Anantaram. No? One can then enter into the kingdom of God when he is in full consciousness of me by such devotion. One can know me only through pure devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. 1855, my dear Satyabhama, not 1155. It is just after the Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma verse. It explains about how only through, here we go. Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yaschasmi Tattvataha Tato Mam Tattvato Gnatva Vishate Tad Anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So we have to get qualified, isn't it? For that position, we have to become qualified to enter into the kingdom of God by practicing Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a spiritual master now. And guess what? Even though we are here in this material world, even though we are in this material body, we can still attain perfection. It is not denied. It's not that, oh, only after I die, I will become perfect. No, you can become perfect now. In fact, you must become perfect now. You must go back to Godhead now so that you can go back to Godhead then, which is the time of death. So it's not like suddenly, there'll be some big bang and then suddenly you will be in the spiritual world suddenly at the time of death. It is because we are practicing Krishna consciousness that we will be qualified to enter the kingdom of God. Until then, we cannot expect that we will be qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. So in Bhagavad Gita 14:20, this verse is clearly explained that one can taste nectar even in this life, even in this body, when one is fully Krishna conscious. Let's go to that verse, my dear Satyabhama. It's Bhagavad Gita 14:20. Chapter 14, verse number 20. That is explained that when one fully transcends the modes of material nature, he can begin to taste nectar even in this life. He gets free of the modes of material nature and he can actually begin to enjoy the transcendental life even now. Isn't that wonderful? I think it is. Gunan etan atityatrin dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimukto amritam ashnute. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Haribol! Jai Srila Prabhupada, who has given us the way to become fully transcendental even while being in this material body. What a great opportunity we are being given. Let's read the purport. It's very short, really tiny purport, but beautiful. How one can stay in the transcendental position, even in this body, in full Krishna consciousness, is explained in this verse. The Sanskrit word dehi means embodied. Although one is within this material body, by his advancement in spiritual knowledge, he can be free. Jai! Look what is waiting for us. Haribo! He can be free from the influence of the modes of nature. He can enjoy the happiness of spiritual life even in this body. Because after leaving this body, he's certainly going to the spiritual sky. But even in this body, he can enjoy spiritual happiness. In other words, devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the sign of liberation from material entanglement. And this will be explained in the 18th chapter, which we will see shortly. When one is freed from the influence of the modes of nature, he enters into devotional service. So we have all begun the process of devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So all we need to do now is to perfect the work process. We need to perfect ourselves and become fit to go back home, back to Godhead. And one can enjoy nectar even in this life. It doesn't mean that, oh, all my life I've got to suffer. And then in the end, when I die, I'll go back to Krishna. No, we go back to Krishna now. And become Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Na shochyati na khankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. That's 18th chapter, verse number 54. Can we go to that particular verse, please, my dear Satyabhama? 1854. Such a beautiful explanation of how one who has transcended this material modes is completely at peace, doesn't hanker for anything, doesn't lament for anything, and is situated in transcendental happiness, fully realizing Brahman, becomes fully joyful. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So you see what all is possible for us in the human form of life. So, okay, in the purport it is said that even the impersonalists can achieve this stage, but we want to go beyond that. One who is engaged in pure devotional service is already in a state of liberation called Brahma Bhuta, oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, one cannot render service unto him. In the absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor, yet the distinction is there in a higher spiritual sense. In the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, there is misery. But in the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no misery. The devotee has nothing for which to lament or desire. Since God is full, a living entity who is engaged in God's service becomes also full in himself. He is just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. Because a pure devotee has no thought other than Krishna, he is naturally always joyful. He does not lament for any material loss, nor does he aspire for gain, because he is full in the service of the Lord. It is just like this. When your tummy is full of nice, satisfying, yummy, delightful prasadam, you are replete. You don't want anything more. Even if someone comes with a plate full of rasgulla, you say, no, 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 I'm full, satisfied, eaten to my full satisfaction, enough. So similarly, a devotee becomes full in himself. Means what? He's become completely spiritualized. He doesn't want anything more because he's finding full satisfaction in the service of the Lord, becoming fully absorbed. And he's come back to his original position of pure, loving servitorship to Krishna. The senses cannot distract him. No material allurements can pull him down. Nothing, no material thing can pull him away from the service of the Lord because he has attained perfection. So this is possible for every one of us, even in this material body. So just see what a wonderful boon we have been given through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Let's go back to that purport, my dear Satyabhama. Yeah, we are going back to 1:12:27. So that's the verse we are on, where Maharaj Parikshit is glories are being foretold. Now, Maharaj Parikshit was no ordinary child. He saw Krishna in the womb, and he always had Krishna's shelter. And he could have counter-cursed that little Brahmin boy, or he could have tried to overturn the curse by the power of his connection with Krishna, but he did not choose to do any of that. He took it as an opportunity to perfect his life in Krishna consciousness. He was already conscious of Krishna. Now, all he had to do is give up his material attachments, material body, material relatives, material position, material wealth, material position. I said that already. Yeah, all these things he wanted to give up and perfect himself. And he did. Shravanam, through the process of Shravanam, 7 days and nights, continuously, without pausing for food or for drink, he's just drank in the nectar of the pastimes of the Lord coming through Shukadev Goswami, became fully absorbed in Krishna's Leelas and went back home, back to Krishna. What a glorious departure. And this is possible for each and every one of us. If we get more and more and more absorbed in the pastimes of the Lord, in the form of the Lord, in the Leelas, in the Rupa, in the Guna, in the qualities, everything, we can also make our life perfect. We can also transcend the modes of material nature. We can be situated in our pure, loving, eternal servitorship position. And in the end, we can just go back home, back to Godhead. One who has perfected his life in this very lifetime, for him, death is just like crossing the road and going to Krishna. That simple and that quick. He sleeps here and wakes up in the spiritual world. So you see, what a wonderful benediction has come by the mercy of the pure devotee Srila Prabhupada. But for Prabhupada, where would we be? You know, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he has composed a very beautiful song. If Prabhupada had not come, what would have happened to our life? Where would we have gone? Who would have given us information about Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda? Who would have given us these beautiful deities? Who would have given us this beautiful process of Krishna consciousness? So there's a very beautiful bhajan that His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj has composed. And I'm going to very briefly share that with you. Hopefully, I'll be able to pull it up. Let's see. It goes like this. Yadi Prabhupada na hoito, tabe ki hoito. E jivana bahite kishe. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. You should be able to have that. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. See how beautiful that is? Yadi Prabhupada na hoito, tabe ki hoito, e jivana bahite kishe. Nitai gorera Apara karuna kedite sakala deshe. Anyway, I'm not so good at singing this because I'm not familiar with Bengali, nor have I practiced it. But let's go to the translation, and you might like to actually listen to the actual song later on YouTube. If Srila Prabhupada had not come, what would have happened? How could we have passed our lives? Who else would have distributed the unlimited mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Gauranga all over the world? Which other compassionate person would have endeavored to deliver the miscreants, sinful, impersonalists, and voidistic people in the West? Who else would have come to distribute Harinam to them? Who else would have come forward to transform them into civilized beings? Who else would have taught them how to worship the deity form of Lord Hari day and night with Arati and Kirtan, how to conduct Rath Yatra and other grand festivals? Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita contain the essence of the nectarian mellows of love of God. Who else would have explained these scriptures so clearly and beautifully? Who else would have tolerated all difficulties, distributed Harinam with a pleasant heart? Who would have given us the dhams such as Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Jagannath Puri? The teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu constitute the greatest and most auspicious treasure. Who else will have engaged us in constantly practicing and preaching it? Sri Sri Nitai Gaur as desired trees of love of Godhead, desiring a drop of their mercy, Jayapataka's heart incessantly takes shelter of your divine grace. Very beautiful song, and I encourage you to listen to it. I don't know whether it'll be possible to play it. My dear Satyabhama, can we play it so that everyone can hear?
Yes, Mataji, definitely we can play it. Let me play
Okay,
this.
let's just hear it if we can. That will be nice.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Yadi Prabhupada hoito, tobe ki hoito, e jivana bahita kiche. Yadi Prabhupada hoito, tobe ki hoito, e jivana bahita kiche. Nitai Gaurera apara karuna kedita shakala deshe. Nitai Gaurera apara karuna kedita shakala deshe. Yadi Prabhupada hoito, tobe ki hoito, e jivana bahita kishe. Paschatira joto papi durachari, shunyavadi mayavadi. Tadhira mudara koribare mana hena কিসে দেশে দেশে হরি বিগ্রহ সেবা আরতি রাত্রি দিনে দেশে দেশে হরি বিগ্রহ সেবা আরতি রাত্রি দিনে রথযাত্রা আদি মহোৎসব শুভ শিখায় তা কোন জানে ইয়াদি প্রভুপাদ না হইতো তবে কি হইতো এ জীবন বাহিত কিসে গীতা ভাগবতা চৈতন্য চরিত প্রেমামৃত রসাসারো গীতা ভাগবতা চৈতন্য চরিত প্রেমামৃত রসাসারো কালনা সুন্দর সরল করিয়া কে বুঝাইতা যদি প্রভুপাদ হইতো তবে কি হইতো এ জীবন বাহিত কিসে কত কষ্ট শাহী প্রীতমানে রাহি কে বদিত হরিনা কে দিতা মোদেরা পুরী বৃন্দাবন মায়াপুর মতো ধাম কে দিতা মোদেরা পুরী বৃন্দাবন মায়াপুর মতো ধাম যদি প্রভুপাদ না হইতো তবে কি হইতো এ জীবন বাহিত কিসে পরম মঙ্গল শ্রী চৈতন্য মহাপ্রভুরা শিক্ষাধন আচারে প্রচারে সদা মন্দিরে কে করিতা নিয়োজন আচারে প্রচারে সদা মন্দিরে কে করিতা নিয়োজন যদি প্রভুপাদ না হইতো তবে কি হইতো এ জীবন বাহিত কিসে প্রেম কল্পতরু নিতাই করেরা প্রেম কল্পতরু নিতাই করেরা কৃপা কোন লোকে পারে নিরবধি জয় পতাকা হৃদয়ে তোমারে স্মরণ করে নিরবধি জয় পতাকা হৃদয়ে তোমারে স্মরণ করে যদি প্রভুপাদ হইতো তবে কি হইতো এ জীবন বাহিত কিসে যদি প্রভুপাদ হইতো তবে কি হইতো
Haribol! Srila Prabhupada ki jai!
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. It was so nice.
Yes, we owe everything to Srila Prabhupada's mercy on us. But for Prabhupada, we would not have any of this knowledge, anything. We would have not known anything of Krishna. We would not have Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ishopanishad, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Easy Journey to Other Planets, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Coming Back. So many wonderful books by Prabhupada. Who would have given us all this knowledge? Only a pure devotee, so compassionate to the suffering souls at the age of 70, crossing by a cruise. It was not a nice luxury cruiser. It was a cargo ship, meant for carrying cargo. And he had one crummy little cabin over there and surviving with whatever they could manage to feed him. Two heart attacks on the ship because of motion sickness. So many difficulties, and Prabhupada tolerated it just to give us Krishna consciousness. Can we even imagine what compassion this soul had for all of us? Impossible. Impossible. So now, Prabhupada said, how many of us feel indebted to Prabhupada? Raise your hand. Okay. So, you know what Prabhupada said? If at all you feel indebted to me, then preach as vigorously as I do. So now we have to give this knowledge to others. You have to encourage others. You have to help others. Prabhupada said, you have become fortunate, now make the unfortunate fortunate. So thank you all very much for listening patiently. I will now stop and we can open up for questions, comments, realizations, criticisms, corrections.
Jai, thank you so much, Devi Mataji. It's always so, you're very encouraging and assuring that, Lord is always there, and so much encouragement. And, you're such an inspiration for all of us, basically, and the way you preach, and you encourage us to preach as well. And your last few points that we should preach, we should try and make every effort to give this to others, give this Krishna consciousness to others. So thank you ever so much for your time and association efforts. And devotees, if you have any question, comments, realizations, please unmute yourself and ask, or you can type in the chat and I can read it for you.
I must confess that it is because of all of you that I feel enthused. Because without you all, I'd be, like my usual half dead, moral, dull.
Too humble, Mataji.
Because of all of you, I feel very enthused. So I really thank you all for your kind association.
I wish I had a pinch of enthusiasm as you have. Really, Mataji. I really pray for that. Devotees. So while you're waiting for others.
Wonderful qualities all of you have. I just admire how you are so steady in all your different services. I admire how Srimati is so steady. She never misses a beat. She's always on top of her game. I'm just amazed at all the wonderful things all of you all do to serve Guru Maharaj. I wish I could have those qualities here.
Any questions? If there is no questions, then I will ask one question. Mataji, in 14, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 20, the last line, it mentioned that, if we transcendent the three modes of material nature, then the devotional service begins. So does it mean that whoever are in the devotional service, though if it's not pure, they have transcended the three modes of material nature? Because we still see ourselves, particularly I point myself that I do still we are serving the Lord, and I'm not sure if it's pure, definitely not pure, not at this stage. But we still see ourselves in sometime in ignorance and sometime in passion. So what does that mean, Mataji?
Good question. Because devotional service is not of this world, because it's the internal energy of the Lord. When we are engaged in devotional service, we have transcended the material energy. Simply by virtue of being engaged in devotional service, we are no longer in the modes. We have crossed into the pure transcendental energy of the Lord. Yes, We are not pure devotees, we are mixed devotees, we are still infected with the modes of nature. But when we are engaged in devotional service, that is the Ladini Shakti of the Lord. It's not of this world. So that is why it is said that when we are in Krishna consciousness, we are acting on the liberated platform. We have crossed the modes of material nature and we are situated in the pure spiritual energy of the Lord. So anytime we are chanting, anytime we are reading, anytime we are hearing, anytime we are serving, anytime we are speaking the glories of the Lord, anytime we are singing, dancing, doing anything that is connecting us with Krishna, we are above the modes.
Perfect. Thanks. Thanks, Mataji. That's very reassuring. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone?
Thank you, Sridevi. That is really helpful to know that we can do, because I'm not perfect at all. I would never be able to do anything because I'm not perfect. So now I can be quiet and say, I give what I have, and what I do not have, well, I cannot give. But
You are
I'm
a
always
pure devotee of Lord Nityananda. Believe me, you don't know it, but you are.
that I'm feeling very happy.
Very good.
Very happy. And with a little help for Krishna and Nitai, I might go to Nityananda place in about a month.
Hari Hari.
Jai,
I hope it will work.
Jai, Nityananda Ram ki
Be
Jai.
Jai. Because I have my son coming for 1 month. And
Very
so
nice.
I hope to go with him to Ekachakra.
Jai, very nice.
That would be nice.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I will tell you when I have been. I will share then.
Yes, if you have space in the car, I'd love to go with you all.
I
Jai,
think
Jai.
Jai. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for this every evening that you all give so much, pure time and pure energy. And yeah, that is very nice.
It's a great opportunity to serve the Vaishnavas. Lord Chaitanya says, Nam Ruchi, Jeev Doya, Vaishnav Seva. These three things are the basis of our devotional practice. So Nam Ruchi means getting a taste for the holy name, chanting with enthusiasm, chanting with a genuine desire to please Krishna, being eager to chant his holy names. That is Nam Ruchi. Jeev Doya, being very compassionate to the fallen conditioned souls and trying to help them to come closer to Krishna somehow or the other. Somehow or the other. And the third is Vaishnav Seva, serving the Vaishnavas. So I'm very fortunate that somehow, foolish and crazy as I am, I'm being given a chance to serve all of you. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, may
Thank you,
I ask a
Mataji.
question?
Yes, please ask a question.
The other day, I had a friend, and she pointed out that I have to chant with not only the 16 pearls, the 20. I have to do some more with those, four pearls. Normally, when I chant the 16 rounds, I go on, but then I have 16 pearls and not 20. But she said I had to do the
Prabhupada
20.
wants us to chant 16 rounds minimum.
Yeah, I do not mean that. I mean, I can chant more, but do I have to do some special chanting with four more pearls?
Well, if you can chant more, it's always good. She must have said
Yeah,
that because now we have
Yeah,
Purushottam month coming up very soon. 18th of July to 16th of August is a very special month known as Purushottam month, in which all spiritual practices you get 1,000 times the benefit. So if we can chant a little bit more, read a little bit more, serve a little bit more, we are going to get 1,000 times the benefit of other times that we do it. So
You
if
know,
you're
I understand that. But you do not see my question. Because that lady said that was not okay if I was chanting the 16 rounds and 16 pearls. I had to do the 4 more. You
I
know,
think Mataji, what Mataji is asking, you have a 16 string and then you have 4 more string in
Yeah,
the other side.
right.
So Mataji is
Right.
asking that 16 she completes, and then does she has to really also do those 4 pulse, 4
But what do I do with the 4?
What those 4 beads are for was, during Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's time, they were chanting 64 rounds. So those 4 extra beads were 1 round of 16, you pull one of those beads down.
Right.
Second round of 16, you pull the second bead down. Third round of 16, you pull the third bead down. And the fourth
Right.
round of 16, you pull the fourth bead down. That's how you
Right.
know you finish 64 rounds.
I understand all that, but do you do that?
I don't chant 64 rounds.
So it's not needed necessarily that we chant all those 60 whatever. Because normally I do the normal 16 pearls. But not
Yes.
like
You don't have to force yourself to do anything. If you can chant more, that's good for you. But as long as you chant minimum 16, you've fulfilled the order of Gurudev to chant 16 rounds.
I do more than 16. I was just a question about those 4.
Yeah, so those 4 beads are counting beads for the set of 16 to make 64. Those 4
Ah.
beads are for that.
But not
That's
everybody
the
does that.
Huh?
Not everybody is chanting all that.
No.
Normal people are doing the 16 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody does 16 rounds usually. Some people chant more.
Yeah, more, more, yes. But those 4 rounds which you do when you have finished.
They are not 4 rounds. They are 4 counter beads for the set of 16.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
That's
what
I'm trying to say. Yeah. They are not 4 extra round beads.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I'm okay.
Thank you.
I'm okay with the 16.
Thank you, Mataji. That's so nice.
Well, Srila Prabhupada said 16 rounds on the beads every day without fail. And he said 16 rounds on the beads and innumerable rounds of the beads.
Yeah. Yeah, I do more than 16, but the 16 are aside. I mean, the first ones I never count. The first ones, I always 4 rounds in the morning before I start. I do them for Prabhupada. And I do not count them.
Wow.
Very nice.
So I said, I start the day with Prabhupada and I give him the chanting.
That's wonderful.
And then afterwards, I start normal.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
It feels
Amazing.
good.
Thank you, Mataji. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Scarlett, Mataji, you have a question?
Yes, please. And thank you very, very much for today's class. Devotional service. I understand. I have learned that the devotional service is everything you do within the society of Krishna consciousness, like in temple or even book distribution. Have I understand it right?
Sorry, say that again. Everything that I do.
Everything we do within a temple, Krishna consciousness, within Krishna consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do for the temple, everything we do that has to do with that. It's devotional service, right?
You can do devotional service even outside the temple.
I can understand, like the book distribution.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. But what I want to, what my question is, even though that I'm not initiated yet, does it count still like devotional service when I do something?
Yes, of
Or
course. Yes, of course. It doesn't mean that because you're not initiated, you're not doing devotional service. It doesn't mean that only the initiated people do devotional service. Anybody who serves the Lord sincerely is doing devotional service.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Mm.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Elenia.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Devot.
Please accept mine. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to devotees.
I have a question similar to Scarlett. Hare Krishna. In a verse of Bhagavad Gita, write you do what you do before have initiation is not not sorry, English is not my is not value before initiation you do.
No, of course not.
It-
Of course not. Anything you do for Krishna, he never forgets it. Srila Prabhupada said, if all you have done in your entire life is to hammer one nail in one door, Krishna will remember that.
Okay, why in Bhagavad Gita write this?
Where is it in Bhagavad Gita said that only initiate people can do service?
No, it says that whatever you do before you're initiated is not in value. A value like value, devotional value, but you do it, okay, but it's not in value. It's not worth.
Who said that? Where is it written?
I don't know. She says there is in Bhagavad Gita. I don't know where in Bhagavad Gita.
But because in these days I study for the Guru Disciple course, and I see this verse, and my mind, oh no.
Show me this verse. I would like to see what you're talking about. I don't believe there's any such thing in the Gita that makes any kind of devotional service worthless. Every scrap of devotional service is of great value. Then what is the meaning of Agyata Sukriti? People who are unknowingly devotional service, doing something to help a devotee, even if they're just helping a devotee cross the road, that person is getting Agyata Sukriti and their pious credits are building up. Huh? They don't know they're doing devotional service, but Krishna knows, and Krishna is counting that. So how can we say it is worthless because they're not initiated, because they this is all conjecture and speculation.
It might
Yeah.
be
It's
maybe you have misunderstood the verse, Elena.
Yeah, I repeat, please.
Could it be that you misunderstood the verse, maybe?
Yes, I misunderstood, or I don't remember well this verse, but I sent you, Sridevi. I have your number, I sent you, and you speak simple with me.
Sure. Sure. But you
I
can
think
rest
Mataji,
assured that anyone who does devotional service for Krishna, Krishna never forgets. He's
Yes.
very grateful for every little thing that is done. And whether one is initiated, not initiated, meat eater, drunkard, criminal, fallen woman, that doesn't matter. Whatever little bit we do, he's very happy. A drunkard once walked into Srila Prabhupada's lecture hall. This was in New York. He was completely drunk and he was carrying paper toilet rolls and he staggered over and he brought it and he put it there and he staggered out again. Everybody was aghast. How is this drunkard daring to come and, do all this? And Prabhupada said, see the soul, it wants to serve.
Wow.
He simply saw that this drunkard wanted to, how compassionate, how pure. He just said, this drunkard, he didn't say drunkard even, this soul wants to serve. See how the soul wants to serve. So, was that fellow initiated? Of course not. He was drunk.
Quindi
Huh?
is
He was drunk,
different
but he
to
was doing something to serve the devotees. And Srila Prabhupada was so appreciative.
ok. Quindi there is no difference to do the service when you are initiated or when you are not initiated.
No, devotional service is devotional service, no matter who does it. But
No.
devotional service done under the guidance and instructions of the bona fide spiritual master will actually purify you more and more, because the spiritual master sees your nature, your propensities, your qualities, your capacity to do something. And he will guide you nicely so that you can blossom and grow in Krishna consciousness, versus someone who is not taken shelter, who is doing something on their own, they'll take a long time. But it is still devotional service.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
I have one more question. May I ask, or is it the time is finished?
No, it's okay. You can ask.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes there are devotional service asked of someone, or some act is asked of someone by the spiritual master, but this devotee can't fulfill that order, but ashamed to say why not. Is it still like if and have legitimate reason to why this person can't do it? How should one go and explain?
Well, you have every right to ask the spiritual master, is my understanding correct? Are you asking me to do like this? Because sometimes we may not understand what the spiritual master is asking us to do. So it is perfectly all right to ask clarifying questions. Is this what you want me to do? Have I understood correctly? Do you really want me to go and, climb Mount Everest? Have I understood that correctly? Like that,
With a
you can
walker, with walker.
yeah, you can ask questions in order to clarify. And then after that, whatever the spiritual master gives you, if you really think this is too difficult for me, you can request, Guru Maharaj, I'm just not able to understand how I can do this. I don't have the capacity to do this right now. Can you please modify this instruction? Or can you please help me to understand how to carry it out? The spiritual master is not a drill sergeant. He's there to help you. He's very compassionate. He's a very loving father. So it is your responsibility to ask clarifying questions in order to be able to carry out that order. Remember, the order of the spiritual master comes with the mercy to carry out the order. The order has the merciful empowerment in the instructions. Once I remember Guru Maharaj gave me some order and I was pleading with Maharaj, oh Maharaj, please give me your mercy, please give me your mercy. He said, the mercy is in the instructions, follow them. Like that. So when the spiritual master gives you an order, it is for your benefit. It is for your progress. It is for your purification. So if you have any doubts, you should ask questions, clarify it, get it very clear in your mind. And then if you have any doubts how you will do it, then ask the spiritual master, oh Maharaj, how you think I can carry this out? These are the difficulties I'm facing. Can you please suggest a way out? Or do you think you can, I'm humbly requesting you to modify it so that I can manage it. Something like that. And the spiritual master will do that because he's very compassionate. You can even ask for special empowerment. Narayan Rishi, when Srila Prabhupada told him to build the first cart, the Jagannath Rath Yatra cart, going up and down and all. Naranaran Rishi, though he was a very good, engineer, carpenter, everything, he was like walking around, and then finally he asked Prabhupada, you have to give me special empowerment, you have to give me special mercy so that I can fulfill this task. And so Prabhupada, for the time being, he said, okay, you are Vishwakarma for the time being. Something like that. And then he built the cart. Like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice question.
Yes, Revati Mataji, Sridevi Mataji, is it okay to take the question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I have time.
Go on. Revati Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for the very nice, beautiful class, as always, very enthusiastic class. Mataji, just wanted to clarify, like from Mother Tita, Kirti Mataji's question, like last 4 beats, as you said, if I do an extra round, more than like 16, if I do 17, I should not pull that 4th one. I couldn't get that point. Like, so
No, you can do like that. You can do like that also. See, when I was chanting again with 16 rounds, and then very soon after initiation, I got so frightened. I thought maybe sometimes I might be missing, one bead here and there. Maybe I didn't complete 16, but I've taken the vow of chanting 16. So immediately I started chanting 17 rounds.
Okay.
So what I did was those 4 beads which were there at the side, I pulled them down to join the main line of beads. They're sort of, knotted separately. So I was chanting 17. Then I said, this is very odd. This is an odd number. So I said, no, I think I'll chant one more for my daughter. So I added 1 round. Then I made it 18. Then I said, no, why only 18? I'll add 2 more because my mom and dad also, I wanted to chant for them. So I made it 20. So I was using all those 4 beads because I was chanting 20 rounds. So I just pulled them down to use them as I like. It's your bead bag and it's your beads. You can use them the way you want. But why the 20 beads are there is because those 4 beads are the counter beads for every set of 16 rounds. Because in those days, they were chanting 64 rounds.
Okay.
So how to know that they have chanted 64? So every time they finish 16, they would pull down 1 bead.
Okay.
You got it?
Yes, I got it. No.
Second set of 16, second bead they would pull down. Third set of 16, they would like that. So they were the counter beads for each set of 16 rounds.
Okay. I got it, Mataji. I was just wanted to make sure if I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But you're right. You can use it any way you want. In fact, I personally keep all 20 beads in the same row because I like to chant, in sequence like that. So I don't keep the 4 beads separate. I just chant 20.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. And just one more thing, like I wanted to just again clarify with you. When we get initiation, we have the old beads, right? So what should we do with that? Like which we used to chant?
You mean before initiation?
Before initiation, the beads.
Keep it as your spare set because once in a while you need to wash your beads, you need to wash your bead bag, keep it very clean. So that time you keep it as a spare set.
Okay.
I always keep a spare set. Sometimes you're driving in the car and you realize, oh my God, I left my beads at home. So you have 1 set of beads in the car, or you have 1 set of beads in the purse, something like that. So keep that as your spare set of beads with a bead bag.
It's okay to still chant with that because usually after initiation, Guru Maharaj, like usually
That is the ideal. You should always have your own beads on which your Guru Maharaj has chanted. But what if you forgot it at home and now you're driving in the car? You should have 1 set of beads, I mean, if you're the passenger, if you're the driver, please don't chant on your beads. Both hands on the wheel. But in case you forget, then this is just a spare set, that's all.
Okay.
Not the main set.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Revati Mataji. Arina Mataji, you have a question?
Haribol. I find the verse.
Okay, what's the number?
It is not Bhagavad Gita, but is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Madhya 1, 5, and 108.
15108.
Yeah.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter. Oh, she has already pulled it up for us. Huh? Is that right? Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 15108. 15108. One does not have to undergo initiation or execute the activities required before initiation. One simply has to vibrate the holy name with his lips. Thus, even a man in the lowest Chandal class can be delivered. So, what is the problem here? What is the question here?
No, it's not this. No. Adikshaya, no, the verse is Adikshitaya Vamaro Kritam Sarvam Nirartakam. No.
Unless one is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, all his devotional activities are useless. A person who is not properly initiated can descend again into the animal species. Hari Bhakti Vilas further quotes, the duty of every human being to surrender to a bona fide spiritual master, giving him everything, body, mind, one must take Vaishnava initiation. So now, what does Srila Prabhupada say?
Sorry, may I ask where it was? Is it Madhya Leela still?
The one that went for the one is for the advanced by chanting, intending he received the sacred after the second 6 months. Without one cannot go for 100, one who is gone can attain. One wishes in us first. Okay. So what is the question is, if it is saying like this, that means all the activities that we do before initiation is useless. Is that what you are trying to understand? Why?
Yes, Mataji, I think that's what she's trying to understand. That yeah.
Trying to understand. Yeah.
Sorry, is it the same still? Is it Madhya Leela 15108 still?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is what Hari Bhakti Vilas is saying, which is the injunctions for Brahmana. That means one must first be initiated as a Brahmana and then carry out all these things. But Srila Prabhupada has given us the direct process. There's no need to first become a Brahmana, then learn all this, and then take, Gayatri Mantra, and then engage in devotional service. He has straight away given us devotional service.
This verse is for Brahmana initiation.
No. It is not like that. This is Hari Bhakti Vilas quoting from the Vishnu Yamala. So, I don't know in what context this is written. I think I would like to ask Guru Maharaj, what is the exact context of this verse and why it is said like this? Because this is not correct that all your devotional activities are useless if you're not initiated. Of course, they are useful, but taking that excuse, people should not avoid initiation. People should not avoid initiation saying, oh, I can anyway do it on my own and attain perfection. That is what is being denied here. We cannot expect perfection without being guided by the pure devotee spiritual master. We can't do it on our own and claim, oh, I'm perfecting my life on my own. Krishna is there. I'm engaging in devotional service and I will go back home on my own. I don't need a guru. We can't use that excuse and avoid initiation. So in that context, I think that's why it is said like that. But still, I would prefer to ask Guru Maharaj for clarification on this. I don't want to say anything because I'm not so well read or well versed to discuss this more in depth. I can only speak up to the level of my realization and my knowledge. Yatha Shrutim, Yatha Matim. But can only speak according to the level of one's realization. So I would prefer to ask Guru Maharaj this question.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. I'm sorry I'm not able to keep my camera on because my bandwidth is going really slow. I'm getting some disturbances. Thank you so much, Sridevi Mataji, again for your time and association. It was really nice discussion in the class. And I hope everyone feels the same. Thank you. Thanks, Mataji. Shila
Thank you.
Prabhupada ki jai.
We try.